Billionaire gave his credit card to 3 women to test them, but what his maid bought broke his heart. The sun washed the penthouse in soft gold, and the city below sounded like a far river made of cars and voices. Peter Rafford stood in front of the glass like a statue that could think. People called him the tech oracle. They said he was a genius, a builder, a man who could turn ideas into steel, glass, and money. His face sat on magazines. His name slipped through rooms before he walked in, but inside, behind the good suit and the calm face, he was tired in a place sleep could not reach. He had all the doors a man could open, and yet his chest felt like a locked room. The only voice he heard clearly was his mother's from long ago. Marry a woman who builds, not just one who shines. Gold can be polished, but foundations must be strong. He took a breath and looked at the 3 velvet envelopes on his desk. Inside each envelope waited a black card with no limit. On the top of his notepad were 3 names written in a steady hand: Lana, Stella, Mirabelle. Lana was his girlfriend. Cameras loved her. The light loved her even more. When she laughed, rooms leaned toward her. When the gifts slowed, so did her warmth. She loved what sparkled and what was seen. Stella was his personal assistant. Fast mind, fast hands, fast plans. He respected her drive, but felt her eyes jump ahead of the moment, always reaching for the next ladder rung, even if it meant putting a foot on someone's shoulder. Mirabelle was his maid. Quiet steps, careful hands. She moved like air around him, fixing small things before they became big things. She did not ask for anything. She turned down help when he offered it. "It's not your responsibility, sir. I'll manage," she had said once, and the words stayed with him like a small bell that kept ringing after the chapel was empty. He pressed his intercom. "James," he said to the head of security, "I'm giving these 3 women access to my resources. Track what they do with the cards. Don't spy on private moments. Just purchases, times, places." He paused. "This is not a trick. I want to see who they are when the gate is open." "Understood," James said. He started with Lana. He met her on the helipad because that was the kind of stage she liked. She stepped from a black SUV in a white jumpsuit that caught the sun and tossed it back. "Babe," she said, her arms around his neck. "You've been so distant. I hate it." He handed her the velvet envelope. "What's this?" she asked, smiling even before she opened it. When she saw the card, her smile turned into something hungry. "No limit?" "No limit," he said. "Use it for a week. Anything you want. No questions." She blinked quickly like a person trying not to show excitement. "You're serious?" "Yes." She kissed him on the cheek and said, "I'll make you proud, Peter." And then she was gone. Perfume floating behind her like a ribbon. He found Stella in his office, standing with a tablet ready to fire tasks at the day. "Clear the week," he said. "All of it." She lowered the tablet, surprised, but her face returned to still water. "Of course," he gave her a velvet envelope. "This is for you. Same as for Lana. No limit. 1 week." Stella's eyes did not widen, but he could feel the air change around her. "What should I spend it on?" she asked. "Whatever you judge best," Peter said. "No approvals, no brief. Just your choice." For a second, her careful mouth softened. "You trust me like that?" He nodded once. "I'm testing my own judgment, too." Mirabelle was dusting the shelves in his study, moving around the photo of his mother and father with the kind of care people use with sleeping babies. He saw her stop to look at the photo for a heartbeat, then put it down facing the exact same angle. "Mirabelle," he said softly. She straightened at once. "Yes, sir?" He handed her the last envelope. "For me?" "Yes, use it for a week. Anything you want. No limits. No questions." She looked as if the room had tilted. "Sir, I don't need this." "I know," he said. "That's why I trust you with it." She held the envelope lightly, like it was a small bird with a fast heart. "May I ask one thing?" "Ask? If I spend anything, can I keep receipts?" "You don't have to." "I would like to," she said, as if order was a kind of safety. "Then keep them," he answered, and he left her in the quiet room with the gold light and the photo of his mother smiling at something outside the frame. The week opened like a book with 3 stories running side by side. James sent him simple updates. No private notes. Just times, places, numbers. Lana's list filled first. Morning 1, a private shopping floor on Fifth Avenue. 10 pairs of limited shoes that looked like art. 2 diamond chokers. A coat with invisible buttons that cost the same as a car. A bag made from the skin of a creature that had never done her any harm. Afternoon, a reservation at a new restaurant where the plates looked like moons and the food came in tiny sculptures. She paid for a table of influencers who took pictures of the pictures they were taking. Evening, a spa with gold leaf in the facials. Late night, a club where the walls pulsed and the floor was a rumor. Day 2, flights for a besties getaway. A villa with a glass pool, private chef, outfits mailed ahead. Day 3, a car, just a little thing, she explained on her story, laughing as the red paint threw fire back at the sun. She had the card for 7 days and spent like the world was ending on the 8th. Stella's list looked different. There were sharp lines, not curves. A series of donations, sizable but calculated. To a coding academy, to a girls' robotics league, to a startup incubator that she had once applied to. Large reservations for a strategic dinner at a hotel where deals shook hands in loaded silence. Gifts, but not random. Watches delivered to 3 board members who liked punctual people. A framed print of an old patent sent to a venture partner who collected origin stories. A sleek laptop to a junior engineer with a big brain and small shoes. She bought data, expensive reports, access to private research rooms. Then came something that made Peter stand up from his chair, a wire to a shell company that he recognized as belonging to a private PR fixer. The memo read, "Narrative positioning for next-gen COO candidate." He felt the floor go soft. Stella was making a ladder out of his card. Each rung had a name. Mirabelle's list came last and came slow. The first day there was nothing until 9 p.m. Then a small grocery store in Queens. Bread, eggs, milk, onions, tomatoes, rice, beans, chicken thighs, a bag of oranges, a jar of honey, tea. A second line below, cash withdrawal, $0. She had not taken any cash. The next morning, a thrift shop. Total, $47. A note, household linens. Then a bus pass reload. Then a cheap phone top-up. Then quiet. Day 3. A hardware store. Items, door chain, small toolbox, light bulbs. After that, he saw a pharmacy charge and then a single line that pressed on his chest. Cemetery. Stone cleaning kit. Fresh flowers. He stared at the name of the cemetery and felt a slow shock move through him. It was the same cemetery where his parents were buried. He had not been in 2 years. The first turning point came on day 4. James messaged, "Sir, Lana is hosting a giveaway online using your card. She's telling followers to comment for a chance to win luxury items." Peter watched the video with the sound off. Her face was perfect. Her voice said words like giving back and love and grateful, but her eyes looked at the number count in the hearts, not at the camera. He turned the sound on halfway through and heard her say, "He doesn't mind. He's got more." He closed the video. James sent a second note. Stella booked a consultant to craft an internal story. From assistant to executive. She's using your name as a mentor point. Peter felt 2 small cracks form inside him. Fine. Silvery lines. The second turning point slid in quietly. Mirabelle had made 2 unusual purchases. 1. A plain wooden dining table with 12 chairs from a warehouse in Brooklyn. The kind of table that did not try to impress. It just waited for people to come sit and talk. 2. A used upright piano with a key chipped at middle C. The receipt had a handwritten note. Delivery to Rafford Tower. After hours entrance. Please be gentle. It belonged to my grandmother. He pinched the top of his nose and let out a long breath. There were more receipts, children's art supplies in primary colors, a bag full of tiny toothbrushes and shampoo bottles, packages of new socks, a set of plain ceramic plates, white with thin blue rings, a second-hand wool coat in a soft gray, a brass wind chime like the one that used to hang on his mother's porch, with 5 tubes that sang when the wind touched them. On day 5, he asked James to tell him only locations, not amounts. He did not want the numbers to drown the meaning. Lana moved in bright circles always where cameras were. Stella moved in rooms with low voices where people talked about positioning. Mirabelle moved like a map drawn by care. She went to the building's service floor and bought pizza for the night crew. She left an envelope at the doorman's desk with school notebooks for his daughter. She asked the security guard for 10 minutes to show the new door chain she had bought and installed for a retired housekeeper on the 10th floor who was scared of the lock failing. She visited a small clinic and paid off 4 tiny bills that had been sitting in a sad stack. She stopped by a church basement where a community group kept a small pantry and left bags of food with a note. From a friend. She stopped at the cemetery with a bucket, the cleaning kit, and the flowers. There was no camera in that quiet ground, but a groundskeeper called James later to say, "Your lady," cleaned the stone like it was her own kin. Peter sat at his desk and put his face in his hands. The third turning point arrived on day 6 when the elevator doors opened into his penthouse, and he smelled onions and garlic and broth. It was a smell that traveled across time and hugged his childhood. He heard soft clinking from the dining room. He walked in and stopped. The big, cold space had changed. The plain wooden table stood in the middle like a promise. 12 chairs waited. On the table, white plates with thin blue rings were set on simple woven mats. The brass wind chime hung by the balcony door so that the smallest breeze could play it. The chipped key piano sat against the far wall, clean and upright, a small plant in a blue mug sitting on top, as if the piano were its own little house. Mirabelle stood by the stove in a simple dress, hair tied back, stirring a large pot. She turned, eyes worried. "Sir, I know this is your home." I should have asked. "I can move it all back. I'll put it as it was." He looked around, swallowed, and found his voice. "No," he said, and it came out rough. "Please, tell me what this is." Mirabelle twisted her hands once, then placed them flat on the counter, steadying herself. "You gave me a card I don't need," she said. "I don't know why I have it. I don't want diamonds. I don't need new shoes. But I know what it is like to feel like a guest in your own life. I know what it is like to eat standing up, or in a rush, or alone." I thought, maybe your house is full but not full of the right things. She pointed to the table. A table is where people look at each other. A table is where you remember taste and names and why you matter. I bought a table. I bought plates that are all the same because this is not a restaurant. This is a home. I bought a piano with a chipped key because the person who owned it before loved it, and it should still be loved. I bought a coat because someone will arrive without one. I bought food because words feel softer when your belly is warm. He could have said many things then. He could have said there were rules. He could have asked why she used his home. He could have called it a mistake. But instead, he heard a sound like the wind chime, and it was the sound of his mother's voice sitting in that old porch, saying, "Make a home before you make a company. A company can be sold. A home is where people are safe to become themselves." His eyes stung. "Who is coming to this table?" he asked. Mirabelle looked at the clock. "Whoever helps build your life. James and the night crew, if they will come. The doorman, if he's off. The janitors. The elevator tech. The lady from 10 who is afraid of her lock alone." I asked them quietly. I said, "Mr. Rafford wants to share dinner." I did not say you did not know because I hoped you would say yes. If you say no, I will pack it all. I will take the piano to my church. I will return everything if they let me. I will not embarrass you. He took a breath that felt like it reached the bottom of him. "It's the best thing anyone has done with my money," he said. The doorbell rang, and then the next bell. And the next. James stood there, arms full of plastic cups and a sheepish grin. The doorman arrived with his daughter holding a paper flower. The night crew came, some still in uniform, some with fresh shirts, all looking unsure. The lady from 10 wore the gray coat and held the lapels like a new prayer. Someone carried a pie that had cracked during the train ride. Someone else brought a bag of chips with the bag rolled down neatly as if that made it special, and it did. They sat, they ate. They spoke in small voices at first, then bigger ones. Then laughter moved around the table like a friendly cat, rubbing against ankles. When the wind pushed open the balcony door, the chimes sang, and for the first time in a long time, Peter felt the tight place in his chest open like a hand unclenching. The climax came on day 7 when all three stood in his study at the same time. He had asked them to come, and he had placed the envelopes on the desk again, this time fat with receipts. Lana wore a new dress with shoulders like wings. Stella wore black, neat as a file drawer. Mirabel held a plain folder. James stood by the door, not to guard, but to witness. Peter kept his voice gentle. "I gave each of you freedom," he said. "That is the purest test. There were no rules except the ones inside you." He looked at Lana first. "Tell me about your week." She smiled like a person on stage. "I wanted to celebrate us," she said. "I did giveaways. I bought things that show the world what we are. We are power. We are shine." He nodded slowly. "You used my card to give away to strangers so they would love you more. To love us more," she said quickly. "Love is attention, Peter." He let the sentence fall between them and then looked at Stella. "Tell me about your week." She did not smile. "I invested," she said. "In your story, in my growth, in the company's future. I made connections that help us win. You may not like the steps I took, but the ladder goes up. And if I go up, I can pull us higher." He looked at Mirabel. "Tell me about your week." She swallowed. "I bought a table," she said, "and a piano with a broken tooth. I bought groceries and socks and a coat. I paid for small bills and cleaned stones that had your name on them. I did not ask first. I am sorry for that. But I wanted to build a place where your money could become something warm." Silence sat with them for a count of 5. Then Lana broke it. "This is ridiculous," she said, flicking her hand toward the dining room. "You let the help redecorate? She is playing house in your penthouse. With your card," Stella added in a smooth voice. "I respect Mirabel's heart. But the card was a business tool. The idea is leverage, optics, moves that echo." James shifted, and the wind chime rang because the door was open just an inch. Peter turned the envelopes over and poured the receipts on the desk like snow. Lana's receipts glittered with logos. Stella's receipts were tight and planned. Mirabel's receipts looked like a map of small kindnesses that touched many streets. He took a breath. "Lana," he said, "I think you love the camera more than you love me. That is not a crime. But love that only shines is blind to simple light. I cannot live like that." Her mouth opened, then shut. Anger came into her cheekbones. "You can't be serious." "I am." She laughed once, a short, hard sound. "You'll miss me," she said, and she left in a storm of perfume and fast steps. The door closed. The chime went quiet. "Stella," he said, turning to the woman who had kept his hours tight and his days straight, "your mind is sharp. Your work is clean. But ambition that forgets the floor it stands on will fall and crush people on the way down." She lifted her chin a degree. "Are you firing me?" "No," he said. "I am offering you a different ladder. You will no longer be my assistant. You will not use my name to build your story without my say. But if you want to build something with me, not on me, there is a place for you. I am starting a foundation. It will be called the Strong Foundation, after my mother's words. We will help build safe homes, safe tables, safe starts. If you want to learn a new kind of power, quiet, steady, wide, you can help run it. You will work under someone who understands what home means." He looked at Mirabel. Stella's lips parted. She looked at Mirabel. Not down, not up, but level. "I don't know how to do that," she said softly, more honest than she had been all week. "We will learn," Mirabel said, surprising herself. Peter turned to Mirabel. In his eyes sat ocean light. "You broke my heart this week," he said. She blanched. "Wait," he said gently. "You broke it open. I saw my parents' names cleaned and new. I heard my mother's porch in the wind chime. I sat at a table and felt like a person, not a product. You spent my money in a way that turned it back into life. You did not buy me love. You bought me a way to give it." Her eyes shone. She held up her simple folder. "There's one more receipt," she said. "I didn't know if I should show you. I saved it for last." She pulled out a small photograph stapled to a small slip. The photo showed a van with soft blue letters on the side. Rafford Mobile Help. Food, bandages, books. "It's a rental for 3 months," she said quickly as if to calm him. "Not a big purchase. We will stock it with kids' books, simple first aid, food boxes, little things that turn a bad day into a not-so-bad day. I put your name on the side because sometimes a name opens a door. If you don't like it, we can take the letters off." He laughed then, a sound he had not made in a long time, the kind that pulls the whole face into the joy. "I like it," he said. "I like it very much." He looked at Stella. "Would you like to learn how to fill that van with the right things?" She nodded, still quiet. He looked at James. "Can you help us keep people safe while we do it?" James touched the brim of a cap he was not wearing. "Yes, sir." And then Peter looked at Mirabelle. "Would you consider helping me run all of this? Not as my maid, as the heart that keeps the rooms warm, as the one who signs the checks where checks should be signed and says no where no should live. Director of Home Projects," she blinked. "I don't have a degree," she whispered. "You have something better," he said. "You know what a home is." Weeks grew. The van rolled. The table saw faces. The piano learned new songs from little hands. The foundation took shape under a name that felt like a promise. Stella learned to measure wins in quiet numbers. Fewer shut-off notices, more pantry shelves full, girls who stayed in school because the bus card kept refilling. James learned the names of the kids who ran to the van when it pulled up and pretended not to be out of breath when they beat him in quick races to the corner. Mirabelle learned how to sit at the head of the table and take notes and say, "What does this person need?" Not "What do we want to give?" Peter learned to hang up his suit jacket and roll up his sleeves and pour juice for the doorman's daughter and listen to the story of a cracked pie as if it were a great tale. He sat at the table and saw that gold could be polished, yes, but it could also be melted down and poured into door hinges so the doors swung smooth. On a quiet night some months later, he stood again by the window. The city moved like it always had, but now he could feel it breathing. Behind him, the table still held crumbs and crumpled napkins and a tiny paper crown someone had made for the lady from Ten's birthday. The wind chime sang a small line. The piano sat open, middle C still chipped, still perfect. He turned and saw Mirabelle checking a list for the next day's van route. She looked up. "You should sleep," she said. "So should you," he answered. "Tomorrow is long." She smiled, and it did not try to be anything but what it was. "Tomorrow is long," she agreed, "but we have chairs." He nodded and felt that old locked room inside him was now a room with windows. He walked to the study and touched the photo of his parents. "We're building, Mom," he murmured. "Not just shining." And when he wrote the first year's report for the foundation, he began it the way he began the story of his own changed life, with the title that had opened his heart. Billionaire gave his credit card to 3 women to test them, but what his maid bought broke his heart.